Party people, do you guys wake up this morning with a little bit of a smile on your face, a little pep in your step, a little bit of excitement going on? Anything happen yesterday after we went off air? Anything fun or significant? I don't know. I think it kind of did. For all the talk about Ryan Wingo this and Missouri that, and Missouri's going to do this and all that kind of stuff. As Mystical would say. Can we still talk about Mystical? I guess if I don't talk about that gas station thing, I probably can't really mention Mystical. But then again, I also like R. Kelly, so there's a lot of confliction in my life going on right now. But yes, today will be a Ryan Wingo discussion day. You do not want to go anywhere. I am telling you, stay glued to the channel today. In the next 3 minutes, I don't even have time. This person's he's got a busy schedule today. So I'm going to have Clint Cosgrove on from Rivals.com, the national recruiting analyst. Clint has been boots on the ground for the Ryan Wingo recruitment. Just talked to Ryan Wingo over the weekend, I believe. I mean, he will be able to give you guys a lot of insight into everything Ryan Wingo related. So you don't want to go anywhere right now. Just pull up a chair. At 9 o'clock, Geoff Ketchum is going to come in. And boy, oh boy, we're going to have a big boy conversation as relates to Ryan Wingo as well. And so I am telling you, don't go anywhere. I am telling you, this is going to be a fun show, an action-packed show, a shorter show because we got to get prize picks in today. So it's going to be some good stuff. So welcome back. Speaking of the show, to the old-fashioned sports show, I'm your host, Anwar Richardson. I'm glad we're here. Y'all, most people call me Unc, but nonetheless, you can call me whatever you feel. But people call me Unc because they're part of the family. And to make sure I holler out a lot of my family members as well. Zio_V, look at you getting in here, number one. Number one, I feel you. Bobby and Whitney are in the house. What's going on to you guys? Soto 806 is in the house. Cesar Torres is in the house. Mr. Hookham is here. I see you, Mr. Hookham. Top of the morning to you too, my family member. Russ says, yo. Miguel Angel Diaz. Buenos dias, mi tío. Buenos dias. Hope you had a very good evening as well. And good morning to you. It's raining outside. Porque tú es no sueño. I know you have a lot of happiness today. So you had a lot of things to be excited about. DWD is in the house. Good morning to you. Alan is in here. Just Another Fragrance Review is in here. Dale Coleman, my main man, is in here. I like it when you get in here early. Arthur is in here. Dale Coleman, I'm just going to start calling you DC from now on. Doug is here. Cotton, talking about Wingo Bingo. Absolutely. Chris Bennett, the original OGs of the Superfan, is here. Chris Nelson. Oh, man, you add a little bit more than yo, huh? Yo, Wingo. I got you. Richard is in the house. Brandon is here. My Capitan, JS6. Money B, you in the building. It's good to see you. Dale Coleman, I was a little bit late. What's up, Kiki? How you doing, man? Had my son out there last night at Ball Hard. But we still got the soccer thing going, but we was working out at Ball Hard over there with Sean. You got to check it out someday. Coleon is in here. Tex Guy's in here. Just a dude. What's going on, T-Man? Jay Ward, obviously, is in the house. It was good to interact with you, Jay Ward, on Alex's show yesterday, and it's always good to see you in here this morning. Big Tex is here. Big Tex is in here. Good to see you. Stanley is in here. Good morning, Stanley. Say something. I feel you. But you know what you want to say? What you want to say, Stanley? I mean, you can say a lot of things. It's 805. You can say a team sucks. You can say, you can talk about Wingo, Bingo, all that kind of stuff. You let me know what you want to say. I know you guys got a lot of excitement here. John is in the house. Touchdown Texas won. I see you. Terrence McLean is in here. He goes, I'm the only Texas fan from Nebraska. You might be, Terrence. Good for you. Hold it down. Nothing else in that state for you to root for, so you might as well root for your Longhorns. Brian Alfaro is in here. Deborah is here. Good morning. Good to see you back again. Darian is in here. Roy is in here. Touchdown Texas. And Barb's 10. Barb's is in the house. And of course, my main man, Mike Torres, is in the house as well. I know you probably was very busy watching tons of a Champions League yesterday, MLS playoffs, Mike. So you were probably in hog heaven yesterday. So congratulations to you and all that's there. Hold on one second. I want to make sure Clint got the link. Did you get the link? Make sure he's in there. He's running late. That's all right. I guess. And then, so yes. So make sure, as I'm waiting for Clint Cosgrove to get in here. And I know, Mike Torres, I know you'll say football is life. And unfortunately, most people would rather end their life than talk about soccer. So I can't do it today. But what I can do is tell you about the person who's always a friend of the show and a friend of mine. But more importantly, he's the person you got to go and call if you're looking for a home in the DFW. That's my main man, Eric Torres, El Presidente himself. If you're looking for a home in the DFW area, you don't have to look any further than Eric Sells Homes DFW. If you're looking to buy a home, you're looking to sell a home, whatever it is, man, he's got you covered. Whatever side of the spectrum that you're on, whatever it is, you want to move out there to Fort Worth, Arlington, Dallas, some of the outlying areas, he's the guy that's got you good. The man with the master plan. That QR code is right there. If you're thinking about doing it next year, don't even wait. Just go ahead and do preliminary conversations, get some recognizance on there. And then by the way, if you know somebody in that area and you'd say, man, you're thinking about, I know you've been talking about selling your home. Hey, I watch this show every single morning. Eric Sells Homes DFW. He's the person that's got you covered. And he'll be here tomorrow to give you his picks. He was very optimistic with his 12-0. But he's still got a chance for 11-1. 11-1 won't be a hall of shame if that's what happens. So, but Eric Sells Homes DFW, he's got you covered. Okay. Clint is getting set up. He'll be here within the next couple of minutes. But yeah, man, this is the good part. And this is where you get you guys as Texas fans kind of get to say, hey, recruiting is that inexact science sometimes. Because all we heard going into yesterday was that it's probably going to be Missouri, and Texas probably is not going to be able to get to themselves Ryan Wingo. And you kind of chalk that up as an L, right? You just tell yourself, all right, well, that thing's not going to happen. Maybe there's some other fish in the sea. And then all of a sudden, boom, he puts on the Texas hat. And you're like, wait, well, what happened to all those reports? That say he's going to go to Missouri. What happened? And clearly you see what happens. Recruiting, inexact science. You recruiting Fridays, they do a fantastic job. Hard job as it is. But I always say when you're dealing with 17 and 18-year-old men, young men, you just don't know. You just don't know for sure. You can never 100% pin them down. You think you may know, then you don't know. Things happen all the time. So yes, that's what happened there. Ryan Wingo decides to become a Longhorn and really kind of continue a nice streak that Steve Sarkisian has as far as nailing 5 stars in classes. He's been able to successfully do that over I think just about every class. Let me go back and check, and let's go through this together because he already has Colin Simmons. So he's got the 5-star defensive end out of Duncanville committed. So he's got them. Now he adds Ryan Wingo to the class, and now all of a sudden Texas shoots up to number 8 in the recruiting rankings. And then when you get into the 2023 class, which should be fun to discuss, he was able to get Arch Manning, Jonte Cook, and of course Anthony Hill. So we got 5 so far. And this is how big boy programs go, right? This is what you do at a big boy program. Like Texas, in 2022, he gets one he gets credit for one DJ Campbell according to Rivals, but some people had Kelvin Banks ranked as a 5-star. So if I got to go by the Rivals rankings, that's 6 over the last 3 seasons, but you can make a good argument for 7. over the past couple of seasons. And so, yeah, that's and then of course, in part of the 2021 class that he still kind of gets credit for, even though he kind of inherited it a little bit, but he does get credit for a guy like a Jatavian Sanders to a certain degree. So even if you want to give that to Tom and say he recruited there, then you still, if you remove that from your equation, that's what big boys do. That's what big boy programs do. And Steve Sarkisian has kind of set the standard now, right? That if you're 5-star, you come here, you're 5-star, you're interested in the program. And then, that's one of these things that one thing's begots another, that begots another, begots another. And all of a sudden you get that momentum going. So make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not. And without further ado, let's go into our Speakeasy Lounge and let's bring in Rivals Clint. Clint is going to give us a whole breakdown of everything Ryan Wingo. What the hell happened? Who the hell is this guy? Well, you guys already know who the hell he is, but he's going to tell us everything we need to know about Ryan Wingo. Let us go into our Speakeasy Lounge. You want to drink now, Ryan? How do you, Clint? You ready for this? You wanna, because that's kind of the theme process is almost like a speakeasy.
Hey, I felt good in the lounge. I like the little jazz music. It's nice, man. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
I'm glad that you're here as well because you've had boots on the ground for the recruitment of Ryan Wingo. How surprised were you at the decision that occurred yesterday? Because all the winds seem to be blowing the way of Missouri, and then everybody talked about, Missouri's got NIL and he can get NIL like right now in high school. And so everyone kind of thought like, okay, that's the advantage. But I guess, is this just an example that when it comes to 18-year-olds, if you live in the world of absolutes, you will always get disappointed or shocked at some point.
Yeah, you'll absolutely get shocked. If you would have told me a week ago, how surprised are you? I said not happening. That's how surprising it was as it developed. Even yesterday, or what is yesterday? No, geez, it's was it Thursday now? Tuesday afternoon. If you would have told me that it was changing, I would have been surprised. Tuesday late night, it started to change, and I was initially surprised, but I got a text or a call actually from a pretty well-respected agent who's pretty locked in on these things, saying, "Hey, you might want to check in on the whole Wingo thing." I've heard some things. So, I mean, I heard some crazy things. I heard anything from somehow Texas was in St. Louis. And this, it just continued to evolve. It is everything you would expect from a 5-star recruitment. And, I still didn't know when he was walking out yesterday. He texted me probably 5 minutes before he went on stage. And it wasn't, hey, I'm going here. It was, let's get together afterwards, when we were supposed to get together beforehand. So I wasn't shocked when it happened. That kind of was the writing on the wall. But the developments, the way it shifted, the way it changed, the final hours were definitely surprising.
Did you have a chance to speak to him afterwards, after it was all said and done? Because if you did, I'm kind of curious as to what are some of the things he told you during that conversations, at least what you can share amongst us.
We have not talked yet.
Did Ryan big time you already?
No, I think we needed a break from the Ryan Wingo recruitment for a little bit. And I'll probably talk with him today. We'll figure out if we do video or a written interview. But I want to hear from his mouth, because I have heard the story from a couple different a couple variations of it. I talked to some recruits. I mean, the night before, here's the deal. I was at the school Thursday, Friday. I was at University of Missouri with him on Saturday. I talked to his dad Saturday morning. I'm talking to his friends. I'm over at Jeremiah McClellan's high school talking with
Wow.
Jeremiah about it. We got, Ryan on the phone. It's just one of those. I had Jeremiah do a future cast. He literally was asking Ryan, is it cool if I say Missouri? And he's like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, so this was one of those things where Texas, it almost seemed wherever he went that week, that was kind of the new hot team. But I've known Ryan since I've known him since he was a recruit. I've met him probably when he was in 8th grade, heard about him since 5th grade because I was on a staff that recruited his older brother. I believe my dad recruited his older brother. A good friend of mine who played in the NFL, his son is really good friends with Wingo. This was one of those things where, St. Louis, like they talk to me. I have good roots there, and this was kind of down in the final hours. So a guy I really respect called me. He's like, it's done. And this was about 2 hours before the announcement. And I really didn't think with everybody that was in attendance, booster people, commits of Missouri. I just knowing Ryan, he's such a good kid, such a nice kid. I just didn't think at the end when it came time to come out and say it that he was going to say it. So I had stuff prepared for both sides. The bottom line is Texas made a strong push in the night before. And I can answer anything else from there.
No. So tell me, give us an idea as to what makes him special as a player. Break that down for us. He's a 5-star. People may have seen, some huddle highlights, but you've obviously seen him in person. Give me the breakdown of Ryan Wingo and any, comparisons you feel comfortable making as relates to his skill set.
Yeah. So I think it is his skill set and the potential that his skill set brings to the table. His upside is what makes him special. He is a tall, long kid who he glides. The kid glides, and there's not a lot of kids with his size who have the straight line speed. I mean, he's pushing 200 pounds. He's pushing 6'3", 10'6". I mean, he'll be a 10.5, 10.400 kid when it's all said and done. So he can take the top off. And the thing with him is he was always the biggest kid, and he was always the fastest kid growing up, and he played around some really good players from youth ball on up. And so the crazy thing is it was always about the upside. Well, this year you're finally seeing it. All of a sudden he's tracking the ball. All of a sudden the body control is coming in. So he is only scratching the surface of what he will be as a player. And I wouldn't say that he's like downright dominant right now, but he has the potential to be dominant. Like if he was what he is going to be right now, he'd be one of the best high school players you ever seen, because the size and speed combination, along with his ability to, transition laterally, stick his foot in the ground, bend, get in and out of routes, ball skills, body control, tracking, like it's all starting to come together. Now, I don't know if his potential is going to be realized right out the gate. I know Texas is losing a lot of players to the league, but he is a kid that is going to look a lot different 2 years from now than he does today. And his upside is what makes him special. And, he can just do so much at his size and his speed.
Who have you seen, whether it's in college or on the next level, that's a good comparison for Ryan?
I've had a hard time with this, to be honest. He's it's a unique. I've thought about a lot, and I always go back to like players. But I really I'm bad with comps. I usually have to sit down and do comps. I can't remember who I compared him to when I did his breakdown, but gosh, I would say if he puts on the weight he can put on, like a DK Metcalf.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's not as wide. He's a little more narrow than DK was, but he's got that, that size and speed combination that makes him special. His God-given skill set is what separates him from those around him. And then you combine the development of his football skill set over the past couple of years, and I would say that's he's going to have to get in the weight room if he's going to be like DK. But
sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's that big dude who can stretch the field. He's that guy that you think of DK when that pick six, or that should have been a pick six, and he's chasing the dude down. Ryan's the type of guy who's coming from outside the screen when everybody thinks the guy's breaking away, and he's going to chase you down. So he's got great game speed, he's got great track speed, and he's got the size. It'll just be about the developmental aspect moving forward.
Tell me from a just personality standpoint, as a person who's had a chance to get to know him, what's he like? You seem to smile when you talk about him, and I know sometimes when you talk about recruits, you don't know, so because they're pains in the ass sometimes, and so you don't have as much of a smile. But you seem to smile when you mention him. So what's he like?
He's not the kind you would expect to flip for a bag on signing day or on commitment day. He's a quiet kid, soft-spoken kid, nice kid, nice on the field even. He's a great teammate. Like, you talk to I'm good friends with this high school coach. You talk to the teachers at the school. So I recruited SLU when I was a coach. I scouted SLU for 8 years prior. I've been going to SLU for a long time. I've never heard anything negative about Ryan. He's a great student. He's a great representative of the community, of the school. And I was kind of shocked. I saw a different side of him yesterday when that stream came on, and it was almost good to see that he has some dog in him, because, that was one of the things. It's like, is he almost too nice to be this bad dude? And, his brothers had it. I was talking with his pops on Saturday. His pops, he's a dude too. And to see Ryan, who's always kind of been more of the softer spoken, quieter, good teammate, nice kid, all about the team, never making it about him. It was interesting. He was Ryan's always been responsive throughout the whole process. I told him day one, I was like, dude, you're going to get tired of me, but I'm never going to hit you up unless I absolutely need something from you. I'm not going to just bother you every day. I was like, but if I do hit you up, I was like, let's make sure that we connect because it's important. And I had to start hitting up some other recruits as the final hours were doing down. I was like, hey, tell Ryan to get back to me. And he did get back to me. We did not film beforehand. He kept it to the vest towards the very end. But, in St. Louis, you're going to find out eventually. They say the streets talk there, and they've never been wrong in my history of recruiting the area and now covering it on the media side. This was a shock to many. And it was, I don't care what anybody says about the 2-month silent commit. Maybe the Texas staff was told that, but this isn't that deal. That is not what happened.
So what is this? Let's talk about what this. I'm kind of curious your perspective as Texas right now from a recruiting perspective. Right now. They've got Wingo and they've got Colin Simmons, in this class. But previous to that, 2023, they get 3 5-stars with Arch Manning, obviously Jonte Cook, Anthony Hill. 2022, they get DJ Campbell. Some other publications had Kelvin Banks as a 5-star, so he was pretty close as far as that thing is concerned. I'm just kind of curious from a recruiting national perspective. I mean, has Texas become that force that, now that has to be reckoned with when it comes to recruiting, like, the big dogs in the country? Is that, or the other teams like Georgia still have that on lock? I'm just kind of curious as to where your Texas perspective is.
So I've always had a ton of respect for the Texas program, their recruiting, and to me, coming from the Midwest, I remember the first time I played against Texas when I was on staff at Nebraska, and like I was like, this is cool. We're playing against Texas right now. You know, Colt McCoy's at quarterback. Like this is kind of wild. So for a Midwest kid, like to me, growing up, and I grew up around the game. I've been in tons of stadiums. To me, Texas has always been a high echelon recruiting program. Now, part of probably I have a couple friends who went to Austin Westlake, so you heard a lot about Texas growing up.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends. Well, actually, I was on Tim Brewster's staff at Minnesota, so Texas was indoctrinating me with with Mac Brown stories every day, and a lot of those guys, played or coached for Mac there. But to me, Texas has always been a big dog on the recruiting trail. I do think it's different now because a few years back, and I almost call it like the globalization of recruiting. If you were coaching at Texas and there was a kid that wanted to go to Texas and there was a kid anywhere else in the nation who was maybe equal or just a slight bit better, Texas didn't go outside of Texas if they could get something similar back home. Now with the globalization where conferences don't even have region specific, like it's opened a new door. And I think we'll be surprised when Texas, because a long time they only recruited Texas, maybe a little Louisiana, you know what I mean? And but I think they will be a force. I think the Longhorns can be a force and will be a force, especially in the NIL era on a national perspective. I think that they can be in the door with anybody. You have a celebrity quarterback who's not even on the field yet, in Arch Manning. That's pull. Austin, Texas oil money, that's pull. Being a Texas Longhorn and the stories I've heard of playing there and what it's like, that's pull. And so if you can get out there and convey that information to kids, get them on campus when it's not too hot, some more in the fall, I do think Texas is up there with, this is going to be a top 5 recruiting program moving forward, especially if things are rolling on the field. I see no reason why they can't compete with anybody for any kid in the nation, to be completely honest.
Let me ask you a couple more and I'll let you get out and get back to your baby over there. When you look at the Texas class right now, the 2024 class, ranked 8th, obviously according to Rivals at this moment. Give me what you like. Give me kind of like your breakdown of what you like in the class, guys that you're kind of familiar with that really kind of you say kind of whatever diamonds in the roughs, guys that you really enjoy. Just give me your breakdown of where the class is at and maybe some areas of improvement for you.
Yeah, so I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
I should know these things.
You can't memorize them all.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because with Wingo, Texas doesn't come to the Midwest a lot. They had the linebacker out of Rittner a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember his name. I scouted him back. All right, so Wingo, we talked about his upside. Brandon Baker, long, athletic, offensive lineman. I like him. Colin Simmons is a dude. Colin Simmons is a certified butt kicker. Big fan of Colin. Trying to see which guys I know very well in here. Parker Livingston, that's a kid who just really, seemed to blow up as he developed. You talk body types receiver-wise, that's going to be a big receiver room moving forward. Christian Clark, big back that, explosive. I don't know anything about the kicker. Trey Owens, I've watched in film, talked about recruiting meetings. Santana Wilson is a kid that intrigues me because of his length. I think he's got a ton of upside. And really, I'm trying to see if I see any real holes here. I don't know the state of the Texas roster, what our positions of need. I'm really impressed, even though I don't know if they've gone as hard numbers wise on the defensive side of the ball, but the D line recruiting, it jumps off the page for sure. The receiver recruiting speaks for itself. The crazy is Ryan Wingo probably has the most upside of guys, but the other two are college right now. So top to bottom, it's an impressive class. A lot of those guys aren't in my region, so the time I talk about them is when it comes rankings meetings and we do all that prep and you watch all that film. And then I see a lot of them at our camps or 7-on-7s at the big 7-on-7s. So I would like to do a deeper dive before I could give you my final thoughts. But at quick glance, there's guys with elite potential in that class. You can see that they're building, a physically almost NFL style roster, guys with length, guys with, upside. And that's something that you can do once you feel good about your roster, that you start recruiting body types. And, that's what, a school like Georgia can do. When you don't need a guy to come in and play right away, that's when you can often get your best players. The guys who have an incredible ceiling, who might take some developmental time because they're not forced on the field right away. And just looking at the body types that they're bringing in, it looks like they're pushing that direction. I would say that bodes well for Texas football on the field moving forward. And then recruiting is going to look a little different as well. Obviously, you want the guys who already are the absolute ballers and still have that upside. Sure. There's not very many of them. There's a lot of projecting going on. But, I would say that's impressive start, especially in, what are they ranked? Eighth right now. Okay. I don't know do you know how many spots they're going to have this year?
No, I think they said they're going to have I think they said they're going to have a full class, but I need to kind of check back in on that to see how many spots they're going to leave open for like transfers,
Yeah. I mean, right now it's just, it's full of quality. And, and the other thing you see is, and the reason sometimes, Georgia's been killing it, but like Alabama will be like 20th and all of a sudden finish top 3 in recruiting every year. It's because they're going through a selection process. And now today's day and age of recruiting, there's very few schools that can do that. They have to fill their class up quick because very few players can just say, I'll commit when I feel like it. You got to be a dude to do that. Like, because 90% of the time, no matter how good you are, there's another dude out there who's just as good as you. There are very, very few players who can just say, I'll commit when I want. And if they're taking a full class and the numbers are what they are right now, there's a little bit of selection process going on. And that's a pretty good thing.
All right, so let's wrap it up with Ryan Wingo. Okay, so we'll go back to this real quick. So, all right, he threw a curveball at you, and obviously he announces Texas. We've got a couple of months before now and signing day. Do you think this is a solid commitment, or do you think this is a verbal commitment and it's still game on between now and signing day?
It's game on. I don't think this one is over. I got to talk with Ryan, to be honest. I never thought, even if he announced for Missouri or Colorado, I saw a text message from a reliable source. They sent me a text message and they said, dude's going to Colorado. I got hit up by an agent saying LSU's telling me that they're getting him. Like, this is kind of how crazy it is. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes when I'm sleeping at night, but I don't think this is over. In today's day and age, I don't think any of these big time, especially 5-star recruit. These 5-star recruitments, I'm telling you, I'm new to the media side. I never had to cover them. I just had to evaluate them before. These things are crazy. And when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, until that pen's on paper, I don't trust anything nowadays. Unless you're born and basically, you're going to that program since you were born, like anything can happen. And I don't know if anybody saw his dad's interview yesterday, but he made it seem his first response was, when's signing day again? It was December 20th. He's like, there's a long way to go. And then he said, we're still going to accept recruitment. So,
Oh.
so if that says anything right there, we'll see. But I don't think it's done. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I put in my prediction for Missouri yesterday. I was wrong.
Mhm.
So you never know. And nothing surprises me anymore. So.
You was very, very PC on it, Clint, and I appreciate
I told you I was
you.
gonna be.
Yeah, very PC, and I appreciate it. Don't worry, Geoff Ketchum's going to come on at the top of the hour, and he doesn't know what a filter is, and so he will absolutely take the baton and finish this race very strong for you. So don't worry about it.
Okay, good. Because Geoff doesn't have to go into SLU High School anymore, and he's not going to go and see the Wingos anytime soon. So
correct. So he's good to go. He is good to go. Clint Cosgrove, I absolutely appreciate you. Go be a daddy and then go enjoy yourself, and we'll have you back on soon. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This is a blast, man. Love to come back. Thank you.
All right, take care. That is Clint, the man. Good personality, great dude. We had our first conversation yesterday, and we just kept talking about a lot, just chopping it up about things in life and being a dad and all those kinds of things. And he's like, man, he letting me. He's like, I can't go too deep, and I was like, I understand. I 100% understand. That's what Geoff Ketchum is for. Y'all know Geoff don't care. Yeah, if there's one thing you know about Geoff Ketchum, and the one thing I appreciate, he will speak whatever he believes his truth to be. And he will, when I say stay on your porch, now Geoff Ketchum's a guy that stays on his porch like that. He's the epitome of staying on your porch. And he will be here at 9 o'clock or so to break everything down. So let's do this. Let's go to a break. While we're on break, give me some buy or sell questions. And let's go ahead and get those things in the chat. Your buy or sell questions. I need them, want them. I'm going to have the opportunity to answer as many as possible. Buy or sell for some of you who are new to the show. It's kind of like true or false. So you ask me a question, buy or sell. You think Ringo's commitment is 100%. Buy or sell. You'd like, Whataburger's better than In-N-Out Burger. So people ask me, buy or sell. Selma Hayek is better than Beyonce. People can they go all the way. Money B's usually one of those guys. He says that for Friday. So put some buy or sells in the chat, and we'll get that conversation going. It's more Wingo, as you guys like to say, bingo on Wingo or bingo Wingo or wings and pluckers. And so someone have a plucker suggestion for Wingo. Like there's a lot of excitement about Ryan Wingo. We got a lot more to discuss on this Thursday, October the 26th, almost Halloween. You guys don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Right. As far as Wingo, he's Jay the activist is saying Jamar Chase. I guess he's been telling you that before. I'm not sure I see as much of a Jamar Chase. Do you know, like I was saying it earlier, I kind of see this isn't to be saying like he can't be like a Chase. I think he has the same kind of around the same height. So I think I'd have to look at Jamar Chase's weight on mock draftable with what he was coming out, but I think he's kind of got a little bit kind of more BMI to him. He kind of reminds me of a dude who is kind of like right now, like a taller Devin Duvernay, a guy who's 6'2" as opposed to like 5'11" or whatever Duvernay is, but thick. You know how Herman says like Duvernay wore armor is what Herman would always say, right? He's a guy he looks like you maybe line him up at running back sometimes, even though he appeared a little bit just kind of small and stuff. Man, you get up, you kind of stand next to him, you're like, dude, that guy's got a lot of mass on his body for being that fast. And I was looking it up today with the Wingo stuff when we first started doing this, and I was looking at his track times and also looking at what his forget whether his mother or his father had told whatever the St. Louis newspaper was when they're doing a feature on him about his 40 time that they had laser timed at 4.39. At this age, catch a 4.39. They were talking about a verified already a 37-inch vertical. This is an athlete and just a killer, soft-handed, natural receiver with a ton of versatility. He's saying Jamar Chase. I don't know if there's anybody that sticks out to you maybe as a comp. And also, I know you've already written up your instant analysis for people who haven't seen it. Just what is your what is your read about the guy's game? Like, how does he fit in? Like, do you think he's a natural to slide in at X? He's not your most traditional kind of, he's not a 6'4" Adonai Mitchell type of body, but you can certainly play X wide receiver at 6'2", whenever you have that kind of speed and that kind of BMI.
I think more AJ Brown. If you look at him,
I like that, because he could fill out to that size, right?
I mean, he's a big. Let's just talk about who he is right now.
Okay.
In high school ball in the state of Missouri, there's just nobody that can touch him. He's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger than everybody. There ain't a whole lot of like I saw someone I was asking earlier for like a Duncanville DeSoto score. He's never been involved in a game like that in his life where it's like, how many D1 guys are on the field? Oh, there's 30 guys between both rosters. And it becomes a little bit of like men versus men, right? Where it's like, well, hey, there's Caden Durham over there and Colin Simmons over here, and they're all different, but like they're ballers. I don't know that he gets a whole lot of that right now in the state of Missouri. When you watch his highlight film, you notice a couple of things. One is like, holy shit, man, like he's just physically more developed and stronger than like anybody else he's playing against.
Yep.
And then you realize, oh, that 10.55 track speed as a junior.
Oh, goodness.
Is real. Like you realize, oh, he's bigger than everybody, but he runs away from everybody too. It makes watching his film sometimes comical because like they'll just get him the ball any way possible. And then guys aren't able to like bring him down, but B, they can't catch him either.
Good conversation that was had on Alex's show yesterday, Football with Friends. Make sure you check him out every day from 3:30 to 5:30. I was in there beforehand, before the Wingo announcement, so I had a chance to be on it. Again, Alex and I are kind of like the odd couple. Can't find people who are more different, but somehow get along somehow, some way. So let's make sure we do that. 9 o'clock hour. Geoff Ketchum, speaking of, will be here in the next 15 minutes. Geoff did a lot of reporting on the Ryan Wingo situation. Geoff's got some insight that he's going to share with you. So you don't want to go anywhere as relates to that. I think he's got, again, Geoff doesn't have the filter that some other people may need to have. And so because of that, that conversation, the big boy conversation, that needs to be had as relates to this recruitment. The dollar bill, y'all. Yeah, we're going to have that one at 9 o'clock today. We're starting off strong, so you don't have anything to worry about for all those. Good morning to you, Blake, by the way. Mark Ruiz, some of these guys have come in here a little bit late, but good morning to everybody. I hope you're enjoying it. Tracy's in here as well. Make sure you guys, ATX, good to see you. 1973 ATX, man, that's the year I was born. You're about to turn 50, if that's the case. ATX 1973, if that's what that's about. You're about to hit the big 50. If not, you have hit the big 50. Yeah, I'm about to hit that thing at the end of December, man. So yes, if I missed it, ATX 1973, happy birthday to you. Hope you, and then let me know how 50 is if you're already crossed over to the other side. I mean like 50, not like that. I hope you're still doing well. Let's do some buy or sell. Let's get these things in here. Let's see how many. I know these things are filing in. By the way, as you guys know, the drill, super chats always get you to the front of the line. But nonetheless, you can put your buy or sell questions in there. We'll see if I can get to answer that. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Mark Ruiz says buy or sell. The bag was more than $500K. Oh, I'll buy on that one. Man, let me tell you this. I remember, I want to say it was like not this off season, but the off season before that. So that was like the Ajay Hall. I was trying to think of all those guys who transferred in that off season. The word on the street at that point was that all those guys are getting 300K. That was the word on the street. That all those guys that came in, so not that came in the part of the team this year, but the year before that, those guys who were transferred in, that was the word that, hey, that the 300 was the bag. So is trust when they say, you know, Fat Joe says yesterday's price is not today's price. And so you got to know that whatever that price was, and that's for transfers, you got to know coming out of high school, your stock doesn't really get much higher than it is at this moment. Oh, so you have to know. You have to know that it's got to be over that 500. That probably that doesn't. I don't know if that gets you in the door, probably to where his recruitment is at. I guarantee you it's more than that. Guarantee 5-star? Nah, transfers. You know, we're getting 3. Oh no, man. I would not be shocked. Would not be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked that thing was close. This is just me now. This is not my reporting. This is just me, my educated guessing. Wouldn't be shocked if it wasn't double that. I think you got to double that amount to get that guy and get away. I won't take anything away from what Ketch is reporting. I'll let Ketch get in a little bit more of that mark. It's got to be double that, though. I'm just telling you. Boy, I didn't get my son, we need to get out of this soccer thing now. What? Now, baby. I hope these soccer skills translate, baby. I hope, man, hey, good people of Cedar Park, I need you to help develop my kid. I got to get Margin Hooks. I'm going to find me Margin Hooks. I'm going to see if I can train with him every other weekend. But yes, there you go. Let's do another buy or sell. I love that money, but that soccer money is good, though. I'm not going to lie. That soccer money is some good money that can last a very long time. So I'm going to keep my kid doing that, but we're still going to do a little basketball as well. The basketball money is great. Aaron, is NIL money in baseball, college baseball, good, or is it kind of just like how does that work? How does that work, Aaron, when you've got guys who could go pro? He says Aaron says less, but it can be big. Yeah, I gotta wonder, how that works. Darian says buy or sell. We will see Malik throw for at least 2 touchdowns, and $150 against BYU. I'll buy on that, Darian. Now, that being said, now ask me how many interceptions he may throw too, right? There's going to be the good and the bad of it, right? That's going to be the thing that we'll have to measure, because at the end of the day, sure, he's going to do a lot of good things, 100%, but there's going to probably be, an area of struggle here or there. So, but I could see $150. Like I mean, I'll be honest with you, Darian. I'm not quite sure that Texas wins with that. If that's the stat, I don't think Texas wins that game if it's only $150. Like I mean, I really think you got to be well over 200. I think you're not like 300, but I think you got to be in like that 220ish to 250ish range to really feel comfortable about a Texas win. It'll be interesting when Prize Picks actually comes out with a line on him. I'd be interested to see what their number is on a guy like Malik Murphy. I probably put out like 180.5 or something to that effect. But I can see 2 touchdowns. I can definitely see 2 touchdowns. I just don't know about the other things. And that'll be the tricky part, Darian. But good question. Very good question, though. But I think he's got to have more than that. Jarif, I hope I'm saying that right. Jarif Mulholland. I like that. Jarif Mulholland. It's very dignified. It sounds like he would be an attorney of some sorts, like, the law firm of Mulholland and Mulholland. Wingo, or the law firm of Jarif Mulholland. Like that's how I feel like I would hire you just based off of the name. Wingo will sign with Texas in December. I'll buy. You know why, Jarif? Here's why I'm going to buy. Because they got the commitment now. And the thing usually when it comes to rich people that I know, not out of personal experience of being rich, by the way, even though Prize Picks is helping me make some money, I'm making some money, Prize Picks, but I ain't making that kind of money. Which people don't like to lose, especially when they've won. Like the last thing they want to do is feel like they've won and then take an L. And so, unless somebody comes with something that's just so astronomical out there that they just tell themselves like, all right, I'm good. But at your Texas, you already have them and you already have the commitment, right? So now if it's an NIL thing and he's already said yes to the offer, that Texas, the people who are associated with Texas having to bumping it up a little bit more from where they already feel comfortable spending. Let's just say like this. I'll say it like this. Let's just guess it. All right. Let's just say it's $1 million, right? And let's say Missouri was at like 600. Well, the Missouri or whoever it would have to increase it, so they have to like double where they were. Where if you're in Texas, you add $1 million, you just add another 200,000, right? Because you already feel comfortable with that. You're not having to double anything; you just add a little bit more incrementally. And so again, I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know the numbers. I'm just using even numbers to make it just the math's more simplistic. Okay. All the bloggers who are out there watching the show, please don't say Anwar is reporting that Ryan Wingo is getting $1 million, or I'm just throwing wild numbers out there for the sake of conversation. So that's why at that point you don't want to lose. Yeah, and I don't think at this point anyone from Texas is going to want to lose. If you're Missouri, you can say to yourself, okay, we'll try a little bit more, but they would have to exceed whatever, and then again. Incrementally, I just don't know. So that's why I would buy on Texas. I don't think it's over. And look, if you're Ryan Wingo, man, I'm taking a visit this weekend. Forget that. Like I mean, okay, maybe not this week, maybe 2 weekends from now. Now I don't want to piss off anybody to have anyone take anything off the table. But if you're a 5-star, you kind of got some juice. So yes, his recruitment. I know his recruitment will be open. And I know there'll probably be some crazy moments between now and signing day, but it'd be very interesting to see and watch it. Thank God I don't have to report on it. Thank God I can just have Clint on and Catch on and Jason Sukamel, and they can do all that. Or I can just sit back like you guys, pop my popcorn, and be a spectator in this thing. So good question, though. A very good one. And in fact, that might be something that I asked Catch as well, Jared. In fact, I'm going to write that down. That's a really good question. Hold on, I'm gonna write this in my notepad. Give it to me by this thing. Big 12, by the way, gave it to me. So they would say it was from Geoff. I want to make sure I have it. Mulholland, and then I'm going to, will he sign in December? There you go. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sure there's a more professional way to do these things. I'm not. That's not what you're listening. If you want someone who's seasoned and polished, I'm probably not that guy. But I got other good attributes and qualities. So one of them is just being real. Cotton. Oh God. He said Alex. I don't even know where this is going. Buy or sell. Alex will talk more about rain and the lake levels than Wingo today. Whoa. That's an interesting one. Because he's going to talk a lot about the rain and the lake levels. And he talked about Wingo yesterday. So I don't know if Alex is going to double back and do more on Wingo today. I don't know where his head's at. And I know he's starting to think like Alex is a very his brain function is no, I don't want to say that because it sounds insulting. Alex thinks very uniquely. Let me say that. And Alex may get fixated on a certain thing, and it might be like that's where Alex just stays. So is he going to have more Ryan Wingo today? I'll sell on it just because I think Wingo, I don't know. His grades might be done, though. Did he do the offensive? Did he do the offensive grades? Man, I'm gonna buy because I think he'll have more grades up today, and then he might. Alex may definitely be talking about his grades today, and he may think in his head. He already talked about Wingo yesterday, so yes, Alex in his little rain, he's gonna be so excited that he went out there and checked the rain and the water levels of Lake Travis. Yeah, 100%. I'm buying on that. That's all Alex is talking about. He'll talk about that more than Wingo. 100%. All right. What else we got? Eric Hart, good morning to you. Buy or sell? Murphy. Oh, here we go. Murphy would throw for over 250 yards on Saturday and complete a pass over 40 yards. No, Eric, this is, see, now the 150 was easy for me. 250. I mean, that BYU defense is not good. This is a really, really, really amazing question. What do you guys got in here? I'm gonna sell on it because I'm gonna be conservative and put him at like a 230-ish kind of mark for his first start. I mean, what was? I mean, I got to look back and see what Quinn had in his first start. What was Quinn's? Now, this is a really good question, by the way. Let me look up Quinn and see what he. No, that's what when Quinn got hurt. That's right. That's not a fair one because he got hurt. No, he didn't. No, that was week 2. So in week, let's see, Louisiana Monroe, he had 225, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And then Bama, he got hurt. So no, I'll sell on that. That's a good question, but I'll sell on that. But it's a very, 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 very good question. All right, we got like 2 more, Aaron. Okay, we got 1 more. We'll do 1 more and a quick break before we bring in Geoff Ketchum. Let's do Money B. That Rivals dude was salty about getting hit with the Serge Jabari pump fake by Wingo. I don't think Money B, I don't think he was salty. I think, let me tell you, I think Clint wasn't willing to say the things that Geoff Ketchum will be willing to say. I think Clint is a guy that has to cover Wingo and continue to cover Wingo. And so because of that, he's probably wants to be a little bit more PC about the things that he says. And he doesn't want to like stir any boats. But I think and that's fine. And I can totally respect that. The thing that about Geoff is different though, is Geoff don't give a damn. Like, and I don't say that by any level of disrespect, but he says what he means and means what he says. And if you ever listen to Geoff and you think he's going to say what you want him to say just because you want him to say it, it's never going to happen. And so that's why the honesty could 100% appreciate. So that's why Clint may come on and he'll say, yeah, this thing threw me for a loop. I didn't see this coming. I can't believe this thing happened. And Ketchum is going to say, man, this is what happened. It just is what it is. And so that's what you got to love and got to appreciate it. So I think, hey, you want to do a break or do you want to kind of go straight into, what do you prefer? He's like, I don't got no horse in this race. Well, let's do this. Let me set it up like this. It's time. If you're ready to put on big boy pants and have a big boy conversation, then stay tuned. If you can't have big boy conversation and those kind of things kind of ruffle your feathers, then you might want to go ahead and tune out and come back when we have the Prize Pick show in another hour or so. But right now, let's go to the Speakeasy Lounge. Let's bring in Geoff Ketchum and let's talk and have a real talk, a good one though, educated one, about Ryan Wingo. Let's do it. Good morning, Geoff Ketchum. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
I had Clint Cosgrove in earlier this morning. Really good guy to talk to, Geoff. He had boots on the ground as in our Ryan Wingo coverage from today. We had actually one of the breaks of the conversation that you and Alex had was one of the breaks today talking about Ryan Wingo. So it's been Ryan Wingo mania. There's some Wingo and bingos and all those kind of things. Catch. I kind of want to J Kid this thing. It just give you an assist and then kind of step out the way. Give us an understanding in your understanding. First of all, how much of a surprise was this commitment to you? And just give me a breakdown of what happened over the last 48 hours, 72 hours or so that led to Ryan Wingo coming to Texas.
Well, I think usually you got to remember Ryan Wingo was originally going to be like a signing day decision, a December announcement up until a week ago when Missouri had so much momentum. Yesterday was supposed to be about Missouri. I mean, the whole reason for moving the date up was because Missouri had momentum. The thought was he was going to commit to Missouri. Gabe DeArmond of our Missouri site was mentioning that he was inviting Missouri commitments to show up at the announcement. Like, this thing was full steam ahead for Missouri. Usually in a recruitment in the NIL age, and even before, the Brax tax usually happens just before an announcement. So in the NIL age, we will say that a recruitment doesn't really begin until there's about 4 to 6 weeks left, when it's okay, let's start talking about what's real and not what are theories. And I think that as he set up his decision to be announced yesterday, there was some real, all right, well, let's talk about NIL and what's real and what's not real. And I got an indication on Monday that as he was getting ready to make his announcement, Texas had a better set of NIL opportunities for that young man than Missouri did. Now, the feeling at the time was that it might not matter. I didn't get the sense on Monday that my Texas connections felt like they were going to land him on Wednesday, but they felt like it was alive, and they felt like, hey, our NIL situation and offer is better than Missouri's. Now, Anwar, you and I've had these conversations in the past where it's like, I love the school. I love the academics. I love the offense. I love the coach. I'm homeboys with the dudes on the team. But we always laugh and joke that, like, ultimately, show me the money. Who has the better situation? And 9 times out of 10, show me the money, right?
Yeah.
I think Missouri talked a really good game about NIL. And then when it was time for, all right, show me exactly what's on the table from an NIL standpoint, Texas and their NIL situation was just better than Missouri's. And I heard all day yesterday that Missouri was trying to scrap up more NIL money. They were trying to improve what had been presented to Wingo and his family, and it just never completely came off. And Texas still had what is being described to me as, and this even comes from like the Missouri side of things as well, a substantial advantage in NIL. And Texas was the pick yesterday. And I think what's really interesting, and look, this won't give Texas fans comfort, but I didn't make the dad say this. The dad literally 5 minutes after he announces, references that December is a long ways away and that anything could still happen. So, like, I think we're still in a position where if Missouri can elevate its NIL game, could this change signing day? It could. I think there will want to be a lot of romantic notions about why the kid picked Texas. And one of the things that I was told that the Longhorns had going for them was, from a football standpoint, they could pitch to him, you're going to be playing with other stars at Texas. There's going to be stars at quarterback. There's going to be stars at wide receiver. There's going to be stars at running back. We're going to have stars on the offensive line. You're going to play with prospects and players like you, which means that, You may not have to worry about a double or a triple team or having to carry an entire team because you're going to have lots and lots of help. And I think that resonated. But ultimately, we would all be naive if we sat here and tried to pretend like NIL wasn't a central factor in his decision yesterday. And it will continue to be the thing that I think we have to watch moving forward. Missouri effed around and found out yesterday.
Yeah.
Their NIL package was like kindergarten stuff. And they've got to find a way to live in the Texas stratosphere with regards to NIL, how it works. You know, kids want guarantees. They don't want to hear, and I've referenced Jordan Addison a couple of times. They don't want to hear what that kid heard from USC, which is, no, come here. You can make a bunch of money. And it's like, well, how do I make my money? Well, you know, if you sell like 10,000 jerseys, you know, you can get like 10% of that. And like, there you go. Like they want more guarantees. And Missouri yesterday wasn't able to match the guarantees that Texas was able to like give him to think about. And ironically, you know, had Missouri not had momentum and were he not on the verge of committing to Missouri, he doesn't commit at all yesterday. And this is still a recruiting battle heading towards December. I still think that's where we are, except he's a committed prospect. If you were trying to leverage Missouri into getting you more money, this would be the way to do it because they are shocked and stunned and putting Humpty Dumpty back together again today in Columbia. But as it stands, this kid's a committed Longhorn. It's a huge gain for Texas in this recruiting class. There are a couple of holes in this class, but receiver is the one that I think most significantly could impact next year's team. You know, Ryan Wingo could be a day one starter for the Longhorns in 2024. And there aren't many guys in this recruiting class that you would say that about. He is a phenomenal talent. And it's a major acquisition for Texas if they can hold it by the time we get to signing day.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that Geoff Mulholland had asked me earlier through a buy or sell question, Catch, and he wanted to know, what's all said and done, his buy or sell question was, will Wingo sign with Texas in December? I mean, if I pose that to you, Wingo will sign in Texas in December, buy or sell, what would you take?
I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. In the last month, he gave Texas a silent commitment. He gave Missouri a silent commitment. Missouri thought he was literally going to commit to them yesterday. On Monday, he was leaning toward Missouri. On Texas, he was back to leaning. On Tuesday, he was back to leaning towards Texas. And then with about an hour or two left to go before the announcement yesterday, I asked one of my best sources, like, hey, should I change my future cast from Missouri to Texas? And I was told no, because there was so much activity yesterday that it led to some uncertainty. We are less than 2 months away from signing day, but this thing's changed at times literally this week. So what's going to happen in December? You're asking me in October. Hey, what I thought was going to happen in September changed. What I thought was going to happen for most of October changed. What I thought was going to happen on Monday changed. And there were concerns about what happened on Tuesday might change on Wednesday. So, Jared, I mean, I could give you a buy. It's better to be in the position where you have the commitment right now than to not. You'd rather be Texas than Missouri today. So I'll say buy, but we have to live in planet reality here. And I think NIL is a really important factor in this recruitment. And if Missouri steps up their game and were to somehow find, I don't know, an extra $300,000-$400,000, then maybe we're back to square one, where now if the money's even, then he's got to make a decision about everything else. But it doesn't sound like the NIL money is even, and there's no real reason to talk about the other stuff from my perspective.
Yeah, but Catch, it sounds like Catch, and again, I'm just looking from the outside looking in. It sounds like he had offers on the table, and maybe each one didn't know. Like maybe Texas didn't know what the Missouri offer was, and vice versa, but they knew what the offers were, and so they're just trying to see, hey, you want to up it, you want to get a little bit more. So let's say, and I'm just going to throw out crazy numbers that are not reported. And I'm just guessing numbers, right? Let's say if the Texas number might have been $1 million, right? And let's say Missouri's at 600. But Texas doesn't know what Missouri's offers is. And
I think they know.
Do you think they know?
I don't think they don't know. I think they know. Because what I usually hear on the NIL scene, and it goes back to think about Jordan Addison a year ago. Texas, okay, what do you get? What's USC telling you? And from what I can gather, most of these NIL situations are pretty transparent. Here's what they're offering us as guarantees. And so I think there's more knowledge about what each side is doing on each side than that. I think Texas probably knew exactly what Missouri was doing, which is one of the reasons why, I was hearing early in the week that Texas still had a major NIL advantage. If they didn't know, I don't know that they would give indications. Maybe we think, maybe we can speculate, but I think they knew. And I think on the Missouri side of things, their biggest problem is that they're in a battle with one of the three superpowers in NIL right now. Georgia, Texas, and Texas A&M are generally considered the teams don't mess around with NIL. They mean business. And I think Missouri could have been in a head-to-head with almost anybody and been in a perfectly fine situation on the NIL front. They're competing against Texas, which right now probably has one of the best rosters in college football that money can buy. I mean, they've money whipped guys in NIL to go get a guy like Adonai Mitchell. That didn't happen by accident. Adonai Mitchell didn't fall out of a tree and land on the Texas campus. We knew that with Quinn Ewers, I think last year in recruit, even just a month ago, Brandon Baker, the offensive lineman from Modern Day High School, incredibly open about, I'm probably going to make my decision on where I can get the most NIL money. And he's looking at Oregon. He's looking at Nebraska, which has NIL money to spend. He's looking at a number of places, and nobody really was able to compete with Texas. There are two pieces of NIL conversation as it relates to the University of Texas. Right now, Texas is a super have. The question with Texas is it's all centered around a few people who are largely responsible for how this has happened. And there's a feeling that if the larger Texas fan base doesn't get more involved, that the long-term sustainability of how Texas is currently handling NIL won't be able to last forever. But they can last right now, and the schools that are recruiting against them are finding that out. Texas really isn't losing a lot of recruits. And if it's about NIL, I don't know that they've lost any lately. They've been borderline 100% with guys that they're recruiting who've told them that, look, if Micah Hudson were about NIL, maybe he'd be more about Texas. Because I think the word is out across the country that if you care about NIL, Texas is a good place to look at. And it's a tremendous asset for Sarkisian and this coaching staff to have that nuclear weapon behind them at every recruiting turn that they take.
Ketch, I'm curious, and the conversation that we're having right now, makes me wonder something. And I typically, Ketch, traditionally, the recruiting war has been won by winning over mama. Right? You go sit down, you got to eat mama's cooking, and you got to win over the mama. And you used to have that saying, especially when it's time for out-of-state recruits and this and that, it really, but over 48 hours, when mom gets to sit down and say, okay, is my baby really going to leave and go to Florida or California or Louisiana or this and that? Or come on, and the kid's like, okay, I can't leave mom. Right. And that it was all about, and you would hear the stuff now about relationships, got to have relationships that, and how relationships are important. In this today's era, is that all just kind of like the salad and the sides? And really, when it all is said and done, what really gets the credit in recruiting is the bag and not necessarily the coaches or the recruiting departments and all these other guys like that. Not to say they don't do their work, but when it's all said and done, does it matter that they went and saw the Macomb school? Does it matter about facilities per se? Does it matter that got a good relationship with the coach? Is at the end of the day, does it just come down to who's got that money?
I mean, it matters, but I get the sense that Texas won over the mom. So there are a lot of ways to win the mom in 2023.
No, that's true.
Having the most NIL money is a way to win the mom. And look, hey, you and I know moms on this Texas team. Forget about recruits. We know moms. I can think of moms right off the top of my head where it's like, you know what? They love the pageantry and all, but you know what else they like? Making money. Mm-hmm. They like seeing their kid get full maximum value out of whatever their worth is. And that'll rub some people the wrong way, but like, I can't have you and I live in the world of like naive playland where it's like, no, he picked it because he thinks Sark will get the most out of him. Like Missouri's got a guy that's probably going to be a first-round draft pick at wide receiver. He's having a better season than anybody at Texas is having receiving right now. Like Missouri could showcase him some nice things too. It's close to home. I think the thing that ends up separating the two schools at the end of the day is NIL. Now that doesn't mean that all of the other things that Texas has on its side of the package aren't of value, but and I think this is especially true of 5-star level guys. I mean, we can look at this recruiting class and they're not all going to get the NIL opportunity that Ryan Wingo has in front of him. Once you start talking about that level of money, I can't sit in judgment and say that someone should take less money because of romanticism of, well, this is where my family went to school beforehand, or it's close to home, or my girlfriend's going there. Like ultimately, it's not show friends. It is show business to a certain extent. Coaches don't often stay at a school because they love it so much that they'll turn down more money from some other place, or that they'll turn down a job title because, by God, I just love this university.
Lincoln Riley.
I mean, examples are everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure Kyle Flood loved it at Alabama. Mm-hmm. You know what? He loves making $1 million plus at Texas too. And same with Jeff Banks, and same with, all of the guys. Everybody likes to make the most amount of money that they can in the least amount of time that it takes to accumulate the money. And we live in an age where guys in this NIL, and it's not going backwards. The future is NIL. And if you're a Texas fan, you need to know the number 7 team in the country has been built on the back of NIL money. It's not the only reason. Development still matters, and there's so many things that matter. But boy, Adonai Mitchell's not here without NIL. I don't know that a number of guys in last year's recruiting class occurred without NIL. You think about the offensive lineman from the class a couple of years ago, that Pancake Factory thing literally happened a week before signing day. And it didn't hurt in the recruitment of Kelvin Banks and DJ Campbell and Cam Williams that, hey, all you got to do is be on the roster. You ain't got to do anything to earn the money other than be here. And, it's just part of the deal. And I know it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, but I think you'd rather be I think you'd rather be a fan for a team that's on the front foot
Mhm.
than a fan of a program that's like, well, we don't have it. We don't have it. We're never going to have it. Now what? This is the new age of college football, and Texas, as it currently sits, is in a position to be a big boy at the Thanksgiving Day table. You know, Missouri, from what I can gather, Missouri's offer is not terrible. And under normal circumstances, it probably would be just fine. They're recruiting against the University of Texas. And when I call Texas an NIL superpower, I don't do that lightly. I don't say that for effect.
Yeah.
I say that that kid is as important to Missouri as any kid they're recruiting this year. And as it currently stands, they're not able to compete with Texas on an NIL front. What that translates to, man, I don't know the exact dollars. But I would imagine we're talking the difference between the two is easily six figures. There's easily a gap between what one school was putting together versus the other. And I think the advantage that Texas has is probably several $100,000.
So, Ketch, when you see Ben, I put this up there, Aaron, when you see him telling you, hey, what was that smoke about him no longer loving Sark's offense and how he uses young guys, and that's where we were less than 5 days ago, you say what?
Ben, that's a great question. When that came out, one of the things that I said when we were reporting that is those sound like the kind of things, A, that you're being told by another school, and B, those sound like the kind of things that you use to justify your decision. Because as he gave a silent commitment to Texas in September, he gave a silent commitment to Missouri in October. And those were some of the things that were starting to be whispered. Well, you know, he's not going vertical enough in the offense, and maybe he's not using Wingo. He wouldn't be using Wingo's specific skill set the same way that Missouri is doing with Luther Burden right now. He's more easily able to say, hey, I like the way Missouri is using Luther Burden more than I like the way they're using any of the Texas receivers. Now, we thought that was stupid kind of at the time because Sark's known for producing NFL wide receivers. I mean, Adonai Mitchell is projected as a day one, day two pick. Same with Xavier Worthy. So when I heard that, I was like, I don't know. And then look, how does he use young guys? The Jonte Cook thing and how he's been used as he was leaning towards Missouri was a thing. Ben, you're not right. That is where we were less than 5 days ago. And you know what the lesson of that probably should be? Just how important NIL is. Ultimately, when you want to ask yourself, what's the most important thing? With some dudes, it's that cash. With some families, it's that cash. And I want to reiterate this. His father, in the immediate aftermath of the commitment, seemed to be like suggesting, well, hey, we're still open for business over here. So we will listen. Signing day is not until December. He did not say, we're elated with the decision. We're just happy that he's going to the place that he wants to go to. We've got all of our stock in Burnt Orange and the University of Texas. We can't wait. He basically indicated like, yo, it's still October. We still got 6-7 weeks. Anything can happen. You know, like let's not be naive and ignore what it's like that old saying, when somebody tries to tell you who they are, listen to them. I felt like yesterday there was a lot of transparency with regards to what this decision, at least from what we can tell, is truly about and what it will remain about all the way up until signing day. And Ben, I bet you right now, there's a little bit like some Missouri people will hear, you know, so a week ago, that was a deal, right? Oh, he wasn't really loving Sark's offense anymore. They're not playing their young receivers. And now today in Missouri, they may hear, well, he does turn out NFL draft picks on the regular at wide receiver. He's got a greater history than that. And he will play with more 5 stars at Texas than he'll play with at Missouri. I think once guys make decisions, they start trying to reconcile with the decisions and explaining the decisions. And you know what people still aren't comfortable saying out loud? Money. It was all about the money. Even
Correct.
when it is all about the money, the explanations behind why a guy makes a decision, rarely will they just come out and say that. Normally they'll say something else. So I think, Ben, I think those are things that they've thought about, and I think those are that would have been the line of reasoning used had he selected Missouri yesterday, but instead he chose Texas. So there will be a couple of things about Missouri that are similar to that Missouri people will hear as reasons behind the decision.
And a couple last things, Catch, before I let you run. And I know we got to clear out everything in here to get ready for the Prize Picks show. One of the other things, speaking of what Ben was talking about, was one of the advantages that people thought that Missouri would have in recruiting was NIL, because of the rules that allowed high school kids to start earning money right away. And so some of the thought process was,
if they sign with an in-state school, aka
Missouri, right?
There's only really one.
Correct. So there's only one in play. So we just keep it in the buck. Whatever Texas offered had to be enough for him to say, well, we'll just wait until January.
Yes.
Right? I mean, right? It had to be like, oh, that you're going to give me this in October, November, but I could get this in this, whatever, December or January. It had to be, yeah, we'll hold, we'll sit and we'll wait for that.
A bird in the hand is not worth 2 in the bush if the 2 in the bush are really big birds and you're just holding this little old bird like, if this were a fish, I'd have to throw it back into the lake. Yeah, I think, again, it speaks to whatever Texas's edge is right now between the two schools. You just outlined it. It has to be significant because he could literally start collecting money today from Missouri if he chooses Missouri. State law in Missouri would reward him for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, we're good. We can wait a little bit. We can wait. And, that probably is the biggest example of when I say what I'm hearing is that, okay, Mom, I'm busy. Sorry about that. I think that the fact that they're turning down money today for money at a later date, just ask yourself, well, Anwar and I kind of did this on the phone last night when we were talking. What would, if you were at a job or anything and you were given 2 opportunities, we even talked about it like when people win the lottery and they're like, I'll just cash out now. I know I won $500 million, but if you could just give me $25 million today, I'm good. I want it all now. And that he's turning down the opportunity to cash in today, tomorrow, November, December, and willing to wait 2, 3, 4 months for that money to start coming in. I mean, maybe they're incredibly patient people, or maybe there's a significant difference, but such a significant difference, as has been indicated, that they're willing to wait for it. And I think, Anwar, you just outlined it. If it was close, I think he's at Missouri right now.
Yeah.
Based on literally the fact that as of Monday, he was definitely going to sign or commit to Missouri. That changed on Tuesday.
Craziness. All right, Catch. Give me let's put a ribbon and bow on the conversation. Give me your final thoughts on Wingo, and actually do two things. Final thoughts on not only Wingo, but where the class currently stands as 2024 class for Texas. So give me your big picture on 2024 and the last thoughts on Wingo.
Well, look, let's just start with Wingo for a second as a talent.
Okay.
Is he worth all of this? You know, when you watch him at the Missouri high school level, it's like watching grown men play with kids. He is physically a very unique prospect. I compare him to, you know, his NFL comparison would be a guy like A.J. Brown. He's a tank, but he's an incredibly physically gifted tank. You know, imagine Savion Red with 10.55 100-meter times.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, suddenly you've changed who Savion Red is as a prospect when you give him borderline, I won't say world-class speed, but when we talk about football players, you know, if there was a senior track season for Ryan Wingo this year, you know, he might be a guy that's suddenly going from 10.55 as a junior to 10.33 as a senior. And that is so fast.
Yeah, that's moving.
That's moving. It's really moving, but he's doing it at like 6'2", 200 pounds. He is a tank who is physically, like, his ceiling as a player, I think is probably higher than any wide receiver in the country. I don't think he's as naturally skilled as a receiver as a guy like Micah Hudson, but he's a better athlete than Micah Hudson. So they're totally different guys, but he's the kind of guy, like, I don't think you'll ever see Micah Hudson. Micah Hudson might be one of these guys. It's like 1,400 yards receiving in a season, but you'll never completely go, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Wingo is a guy that you can watch him play in a game and he can make something happen to make you go, whoa. So why are we talking about Ryan Wingo? Like, why this much? Why are both schools so into him? I mean, he is physically a unique prospect. When we look at this recruiting class, it's really good. You know, I think if we go position by position, it's pretty good at quarterback, but it's not elite. I don't know that it's an elite running back class, but I really like it. I think Christian Clark is the most slept on guy in the entire recruiting class. And I think we may look back in time and say, if that guy's who I think he has a chance to be, maybe the running back class was elite. But, you know, they don't have truly, I think, an elite of the elite prospect, although I think Christian Clark may be close. Wide receiver, Ryan Wingo saves the wide receiver recruiting class because without him, you've got one guy coming off of an ACL injury that so far this season hasn't shown the form that led you to offer him in the first place. And the other guy's got a Lisfranc injury, and those are always scary. Anytime guys that use their feet start having feet injuries, it is a little problematic. The tight end class, you know, there's no Sanders in this group. That's a position that I think they're going to have to address in the portal. The offensive line class, pretty good. Brandon Baker elevates that like Ryan Wingo elevates the wide receiver position. You know, the presence of Colin Simmons is a really, really big deal on the defensive side of the ball. They could use him right now. But that defensive line class in general, especially in the interior, it could be better. They don't really have any linebackers. And I think it's a really, really solid, really strong group of DBs. So I don't think we're looking at an outrageous number one overall class in the country type of group, but it's probably top 5 when it's all said and done. And if they can get Kobe Black, if they can flip a couple of guys, I think it's got a chance to be a national top 3 to 5 class. You know, a year ago they had 7 super blue chips. They're a little more than half. I think they've got 4 right now. So, you know, they just need to keep stacking up big time players. And then I think we may be talking about a class that is similar to what they signed a year ago. Even if you go by position, there are some positions that are stronger than others.
All right, Catch, real quick, just Ben asked a question and we can let last one, and you don't have to go too deep into this. Do you think Clark is better than Jarrett Gibson?
I do. Personally, I think Christian Clark is a better running back prospect than Jarrett Gibson.
All right, Catch. Go call mom. We got to get out of here anyway. So Money B is like, man, Catch said mom to voicemail, man. So
well, first of all, my phone isn't nearby. That was one of those where like my computer, because it's Apple, right? So it picked up. You don't know about this because you don't have a MacBook. So like it's not all connected. But my phone is like 3 rooms away. But my computer was letting me know that the phone rings. I had no choice. Either let that thing ring through the interview or just send her to voicemail. It's her fault that she wasn't awake and at her house door when I came by this morning. I rang the damn thing like 10 times. I tried to call her. I was at her house an hour and a half ago because she told me to come by. And then she was called. Just then, I'm letting you know, Mom was calling to say, I'm sorry. And I slept through you ringing the doorbell 500 times.
Fair enough. All right, you go ahead and make sure mom is okay. We've got prize picks in the next 20 minutes. So you got enough time to get everything going with her. So we got to get out of here anyway, Catch, because make it easier for everybody, the producers, to set everything up and get the links going out to the staff and everything like that. So we'll be here for prize picks in the next 20 minutes. Catch will be hosting that. Catch will be back at noon for House Divided. On that show, he'll be having all the reactions to Steve Sarkisian's press conference, which is happening at 11 o'clock. Plus, he's going to give you more Ryan Wingo discussion. And, of course, they just always have a fun time. So, jam-packed day. And, of course, Football with Friends, Alex Dunlap at 3:30. And, Aaron, do we have the Outsiders tonight? And then, of course, the Outsiders tonight at 9 o'clock. So, you don't need to go anywhere. We absolutely have got you covered from horns up to tonight with the Outsiders. So for Geoff Ketchum, for Aaron who's producing behind the scenes, thank you, Blake, for the new commercials that we have in between. We will see you guys in the next 20 minutes. Remember, I always say live each day like it was last, because one day will be, and we'll talk soon. Take